Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. So we got the Wilder Fury 2 weigh-ins today, and I know all the weigh-in heads are going to be so excited. There's so many of you out there that I think just really overdo the excitement with the weigh-ins. And look, sometimes the weigh-ins very relevant to a fight. This is not one of those fights. I don't think the weigh-in has any meaning or as it relates to what's going to happen in the ring tomorrow night. Funny enough, Bob Bennett, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, is saying that there will be no stare down at the weigh-ins today, to prevent a possible shoving match, because that's really important. Two guys who are about to beat the shit out of each other tomorrow night. They can't get in each other's face today. We got to protect the sanctity of boxing. I love the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Some of the logic is just hilarious. Anyway, wanted to do a quick video, and this is an impromptu video. So, I just got down here in the lab and thought I'd talk about some last minute things the day before the fight. And by the way, I'll be doing live fight commentary tomorrow night right here on my channel. So come and check it out. Watch the fight live with me, and we'll give some blow by blow action and chop it up. But a couple things on my mind, okay? And I don't want this to turn into a negative video, and I don't want it to be beating up on anybody or anything like that. But I'm excited for the fight. I'm very excited for the fight tomorrow, okay? You guys know I've talked about it a lot over the last couple weeks. I did a preview show a couple days ago giving my breakdown and prediction. And I've noticed there is a massive promotional push for this fight, which I think is awesome. Top Rank and Premier Boxing Champions, Fox and ESPN, deserve tremendous credit for promoting the hell out of this thing. It was promoted during the Super Bowl, right? There was 2 ads during the Super Bowl and several ads during the lead up to the Super Bowl, like the 50-hour long pregame show that we have. There is no bigger marketing media platform in the United States than the Super Bowl. And they did that for this fight. They promoted it during the Super Bowl. Has there ever been a fight that's been promoted like this? I don't know. But I tweeted about this yesterday, that there has been no fight this century that has been promoted this much. And I'm including Mayweather-Pacquiao. Now, that doesn't mean that Mayweather-Pacquiao didn't reach more people. Of course it did, because those were bigger names, bigger brands. I'm talking pound for pound. In terms of marketing, this is the most marketed, promoted boxing event of this century. And I challenge you to change my mind on that. I truly believe that. So I'm excited for this event, okay? But I don't see anybody there in Las Vegas, any of my peers in the fight media, asking any tough questions. And that is so disappointing to me. And I don't want to step on any toes. And this isn't me trying to beat up on anybody. I'm not talking about any specific person. I'm talking just in general. All I've seen all week is people posting, shoving matches at the press conference, which was, come on, that was contrived as hell. Or just softball after softball, layup after layup. And I get accused a lot of times by some people out there of like, Mike, why are you so negative? Why are you so pessimistic and critical? Can't you just enjoy this? Can't you just enjoy that there's this big event and people are talking about it? I guess one of the people running for president during a debate, I don't watch any of the political debates. I just don't pay any attention to that. But apparently there was a debate this week or last week, I don't know. And one of the candidates brought up the fight. I mean, it's clearly a big event. Mike, can't you just be happy for this event? I am happy. I am excited. I am, on pins and needles. I can't wait to see the fight. But I can be happy and excited and still want to ask tough questions. I can do both. It's okay. I can still promote the event as a member of the media, and it's been all over my damn Twitter. Look at my Twitter feed this week. Look at how many Fury or Wilder Fury 2 hashtags are on my profile. There's a ton of it. I've been promoting the hell out of it and talking about the event. But why can't we do that and ask honest, tough questions at the same time? I just feel that there is this trend in boxing media. And of course, it's in all media. Boxing is just a microcosm of all media, not even just sports media, but media in general, okay? This relates to the presidential election. It's just that there's a trend where people do not want to lose access, and marketing in the media media is marketing, is getting more and more segmented, where there's this platform over here, that platform over there, and they have their own little wing of media. And because of that, people have these jobs that they want to protect, and people, they want their phone to ring more, because if that phone rings, you're getting a gig, you're making some money, you're getting access. You don't want to blow that. So people just kind of glance over the tough stuff. And it drives me nuts. Why can't we ask questions about performance-enhancing drugs testing? Okay. Now, there is VADA testing for this fight. I've been asking all week. I've been asking people related to the situation on all sides, what's going on with this? Because a lot of you guys have asked me about it. And I can verify right here, okay? Everybody needs to know there is VADA testing for this fight. It's not just the WBC clean boxing program. They actually enrolled in a testing program. However, we have been told that we are not allowed to talk about it. Basically, the promotion, people involved in the promotion, do not want details made public. That is their request. And part of the contract and the deal, the agreement that they signed with VADA, is that details and information cannot be talked about right now. So in terms of timeline, when the fighters started testing, how many times they've been tested, how many samples have been collected, what kinds of sample collection has been done, all of that, I am not allowed to give details. Okay, I cannot give you details. All I can tell you is there is a VADA testing program that both fighters have adhered to and agreed to. That's all I can say. Now, if I was in Vegas this week, despite being told not to talk about details, guess what I'd be asking about? Details. I would be pressing people for details. Hey, what's going on here? Okay, can you just tell me, hey, Mr. Bob Arum, hey, Mr. Sam Watson, can you just tell me when they started testing? Did testing start right when the fight was officially announced, or did it start before that? Did it start well after the fight was announced? Have they been tested for several months, several weeks? What's going on? What kind of testing is included? Is it VADA's standard program, or there's blood, there's urine, there's everything, or is it something different? Please, any information. And I'd be asking these tough questions to people while asking the fun questions. Hey, man, what is your prediction? What do you think is going to go on? What do you think about this great fight atmosphere? Blah, 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 right? I'd be asking the positive, fun stuff with the tough stuff. And I think too often tough questions get conflated with being negative. It's not negative to ask about drug testing, because guess what? If both fighters are doing drug testing and no abnormalities are found, it's a positive thing. It's a very positive thing. So asking about drug testing questions, not a negative thing. That's not bad. It's just it's a tough subject. It's a touchy subject. And why, particularly with this fight, is it a touchy subject? Well, because Tyson Fury has a history. He tested positive for nandrolone. Now, that's a naturally occurring hormone. I get it. But apparently, according to UCAD, there were advanced levels of nandrolone in his system that caused them to eventually ban him for 2 years. Now, it was a kind of a backdated 2-year ban, but it was this crazy way that UCAD handled it, and it really almost bankrupted them. They had so many issues because they were facing possible legal ramifications and stuff. I won't get into all the details there, but there's a history there with Tyson Fury and UCAD, and then there's a history with Tyson Fury and VADA when he tested positive for cocaine, and that kept him out of a fight with Vladimir Klitschko. There's also a history where Tyson Fury refused to take a drug test that UCAD wanted to do. I can't remember. It was September of, I don't know if it was 2015, 2016. I can't remember the exact year off the top of my head, but he refused to give a sample for UCAD because of everything that was going on. It might have been later than that. I can't remember the exact date. But there's a history there, okay? And since ESPN/Top Rank has signed Tyson Fury about a year ago, they have completely glanced over that entire history, okay? And I've talked about that. And I've talked about the lineal stuff, and I've had fun with that. I'm the only guy I'm not the only. I'm one of the very few that has really brought this stuff up to a large degree and done it very loudly, where I know, because I've been told off the record by people close to the situation, there are people at ESPN who fucking hate me right now because of the way I've been talking about this stuff. And all I'm doing is telling the truth. Other people out there are not necessarily talking about that stuff and kind of just letting it go and just looking at the other direction. And that's why their phone rings a little bit more sometimes. And this goes in all directions. It's not just against ESPN or Top Rank, right? All promoters kind of do this spin kind of thing. But me just talking about the lineal stuff and all that with Tyson Fury, and talking about the fact that he was stripped by us at Ring Magazine because of the situation with drugs, because he was out of the ring for almost 3 years. All this stuff should matter. It should be part of the story, right? But you're only allowed to talk about Tyson Fury's issues with mental illness and depression and the drug use as it relates to that. And, him gaining all this weight and being suicidal, coming back from the brink. You're only allowed to talk about that feel-good side of the story. And ESPN and Mark Kriegel and all those guys have done a million vignettes about that. But you're not allowed to talk about some of the tougher stuff over there as it relates to him being stripped by Ring Magazine, him being stripped by multiple sanctioning organizations, him being effectively banned by UCAD for 2 years retroactively because of what happened. You're not allowed to bring that shit up. And now we're not even allowed to talk about details and specifics about drug testing for this fight. We're not allowed to ask tough questions. And none of my peers, and guys, if I'm wrong on this, please correct me. Please give a name, drop a link or something so I can check it out, and I will give the person proper credit. But so far during fight week, I've seen nothing but people posting selfies there in Vegas, asking softball questions, showing videos of the shoving match, like I said a minute ago. That's all I've seen. I haven't seen anybody asking these tough questions. And that's what's got me a little disappointed right now. Anyway, I've been told by people from Vladimir Klitschko's camp that were with him years ago have actually reached out to me and reminded me, hey, remember when Vlad had a couple fights on ESPN? They never referred to him as the lineal champion. They referred to him as the Ring Magazine champion. ESPN used to always bring up Ring Magazine ratings, Ring Magazine champion. Go back and watch, guys. Go back and find the clips on YouTube. Don't take my word for it because, again, I was told this by certain folks. And I was like, you know what? Shit, they're right. And I went back and looked at the clips, and there you see it. They bring up Ring Magazine ratings all the time. They bring up who's the ring champion. They talk about Vladimir Klitschko as the heavyweight champion, the Ring Magazine heavyweight champion of the world, right? They stopped doing that shit with Tyson Fury. Why? Because we stripped him. We don't recognize him as the champion because of all the things that I've talked about in this video. And you're not allowed right now. I'm not going to say you're not allowed, but people feel, I think they're almost fearful to bring that stuff up because they're afraid that they're going to lose access to the event if they do so. So I'm just a little disappointed in my peers right now because no one's bringing this shit up. No one's bringing it up. I should also mention, look, and I've said this before, all this lineal shit is going to get cleaned up tomorrow night because most platforms, most reputable organizations rate Wilder and Fury right now as the number 1 and number 2 heavyweights. So when they fight tomorrow night, they will establish a new heavyweight championship lineage. So the winner tomorrow night, I got no argument saying, is the legitimate lineal heavyweight champion, the Ring Magazine champion. Our titles on the line tomorrow night in Las Vegas. And of course, the WBC title is. So that all gets settled tomorrow night. But over the last year or so, anyone who spoke truth to that subject and brought up the almost 3-year hiatus, the drug use, all this stuff, was pretty much muted by the folks at ESPN. And that really sucks. That really, really sucks. As far as the numbers go, I want to just talk about something real quick, okay? If you guys have any questions, jump on the super chat and I'll get you some questions here in a couple of minutes. But numbers-wise, people are really going to be paying attention to the revenue, the gate, the pay-per-view sales of this fight more than any other fight in a long time, maybe since Mayweather-Pacquiao, okay? And I keep hearing a lot of hyperbole with the promotion from fellow peers in the media at all levels, junior levels, mid levels, and even A-listers, saying stuff like this is one of the biggest fights in boxing history. No, it's not. Okay? Stop with that shit. It is not one of the biggest fights in boxing history. It's one of the biggest fights in recent years. That's a fair statement. It's clearly the biggest fight of 2019. You want to say it's the biggest fight since Canelo and Golovkin? Fine. I'm not counting Floyd and Conor McGregor. That doesn't count. Okay, that's like a sideshow kind of thing. You want to say this is the biggest event since Canelo Golovkin? I completely agree with that. You can argue that there's been other fights that have been pretty important, but in terms of the, I guess the water cooler talk, as they call it, you could certainly say this is the biggest event we've had in a couple of years, okay? But to say it's one of the biggest events in boxing history, slow down. Slow down. Here are some recent fights that I think this fight should be measured against in terms of what it does commercially, okay? Of course, the two Canelo-Golovkin fights, 2017, 2018, they did 1.3 and 1.1 million pay-per-view buys. That's over $100 million in pay-per-view revenue those two fights did. The gates, live gates, 27 million and 24 million. So those two promotions were really, really big. Now, they didn't feature an American. They didn't feature two natural English speakers, and they didn't feature heavyweights. So I get it that, again, when I go back to water cooler talk, the casual fan interest, probably not on the same level, at least in terms of marketing. You know, we don't know how it's going to end up. We'll find out later. But in terms of marketing and promotion for Wilder Fury, that's probably reaching more people, of course. But recent years, $100 million in pay-per-view revenue, 24 million in live gate revenue. That doesn't include merchandising, foreign TV money, which was massive for those fights. If you look at Mexican TV and then European TV, and of course, sponsorships and everything like that. All that stuff, I mean, I'm not even taking that into consideration. I'm just talking about American television and gate revenue, okay? But you go back to 2013, Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo Alvarez, that did 2.2 million pay-per-view buys, 150 plus million in pay-per-view revenue. That did a 20 million plus gate, live gate. And that's 2013 numbers, okay? If you adjust for inflation, dude, you're probably talking, you know, getting close to $200 million today's money in terms of pay-per-view revenue, and maybe 25, 30 million in terms of live gate in today's money. So always remember the inflation thing, because here's what's going to happen over the next few weeks, okay, as the numbers start to get reported for Wilder Fury 2 and what it does in regards to pay-per-view sales and all this stuff. Particular factions of the boxing media, and they all have different agendas, but some of them, it'll be in their best interest to inflate the numbers and make them seem more impressive than what they are as it relates to, in comparison, I should say, with big fights of the past. So what you'll have is a situation where they will report pay-per-view revenue for this event, and they'll compare it to a fight like, let's say, Holyfield Tyson, pay-per-view revenue from those fights, right? That was what I think Showtime, HBO, cross promotion, pay-per-view. So kind of a similar event. But they'll compare revenue. They'll just compare the overall revenue of the pay-per-view. What they won't mention is that pay-per-views back then cost $40. Pay-per-views now cost like $80, of course. So to do, you know, if you're selling 1 million pay-per-views at $80, well, of course, you have to sell 2 million at $40 to do the same revenue. So be very careful the way that they report this stuff, because there's a bunch of tricks in the way that they report it. When they do compare revenue to revenue, you know, apples to apples, it's really apples to oranges, because they never adjust for inflation. You can't really compare revenue. What you should compare is the number of buys, okay? And it's the same thing with the live gate. Comparing the live gate of this fight, which I think is going to do a big live gate, I don't know if it's going to do what Golovkin and Canelo did. I don't know. That remains to be seen. But you can't compare the live gate of this fight to fights from 7, 8, 15 years ago, because there's an inflationary thing happening there. And if you're going to report honestly and do that apples to apples comparison, you have to adjust for inflation. So that's another trick you see from the media and how this stuff is reported. So again, let me go. We have a super chat question here from Check Hook 93. Thank you so much, Check Hook. I appreciate it. He says, will Wilder counter effectively if Fury brings it? Look, if Tyson Fury, and this is something I forgot to really talk about in detail in my fight prediction video, and Check Hook, I invite you to go watch that. I posted it a few days ago, my breakdown and prediction video. Tyson Fury, I think, would be served well to try to get close to Wilder and push him backward. He is the taller, heavier guy. So push Deontay backward and lean on him a little bit. Get on the inside a little bit and do some inside work, because clearly Tyson Fury has a lot more boxing ability on the inside. I mean, he has more boxing ability overall, but Wilder has almost no inside fighting game. So if Fury can get inside and push him back a little bit, I think that we're going to find out just how good Wilder is countering on the inside. I do think Kenny Bayless, as a referee, is going to be more advantageous to Deontay Wilder, because I think anytime things get a little rough or a little close on the inside, Bayless is going to completely break them. Look at Floyd Mayweather's 2 fights with Marcos Maidana as an example. When there was Kenny Bayless as the ref in the second fight versus the first fight, you saw a completely different fight, because Kenny Bayless immediately jumped in to help Floyd out. And I'm not saying he was consciously doing that to help Floyd. That's just his style of reffing. He likes everything very clean and on the outside or at mid-range. And of course, that plays right into Deontay Wilder's wheelhouse of what he wants. To land that right hand, he's got to have some distance. On the inside, Tyson's going to smother it. Tyson Fury's going to smother it. So that's something I forgot to talk about in my breakdown video. Good question, Check Hook. I saw a couple more. Super Chat pledge from Harrison Property. Thank you so much. He asked, do you have any inside info about the Fury camp rumors? Which Fury camp rumors are you hinting to? As far as training, as far as how he looks in camp, everything that I've heard has been very positive. His body looks good. I think that he will look better at today's weigh-in. For all you weigh-in heads who love the weigh-in stuff, he's going to look better at today's weigh-in than he looked about a year and a half ago weighing in for the first fight. He's going to look more solid. He's not going to look ripped. He's never going to look ripped, but he is going to look a little firmer, a little solid, and a little more muscle mass on him. So clearly he's been taking this very seriously. I think both fighters have, obviously. But I think Fury's pretty dialed in, man. We're going to find out tomorrow night how all this works out, because as I mentioned in my breakdown video, all the X factors and intangibles favor Deontay Wilder, including Wilder being with the same team, the same corner he's been with for years. He has a billion different managers and advisors and all this stuff, but he's kind of been with the same core nucleus for years. The only guy that's dropped off recently is Lou DiBella, who genuinely, truly cared about Deontay Wilder and just tried to do the best thing for him in getting him that deal with the Zone, really just getting him a meeting to hear them out, and was essentially told to get lost after that because he dared to at least entertain the option of getting Deontay Wilder more money and a better deal on a different platform. That's when they kicked Lou DiBella out. And Lou has talked about this publicly. It's not a conspiracy theory. So that's the only difference on his side. Other than that, it's pretty much the same team he's had. With Fury, completely different team. So we don't know how that's going to play out tomorrow. But everything I've heard and seen has been positive from Tyson Fury. Another Super Chat pledge from Aran Hammond. Thank you so much, Aran. I appreciate it. Oh, I lost it. There it is. If there is a stoppage win, will there be a fight 3? That's a great question. Great question. I think if there is a late stoppage in a very competitive fight, let's say Tyson Fury's ahead on all 3 cards, and it's really close and competitive, and Wilder chops him down late, I think we might still get a 3rd fight. If Tyson Fury wins flat out, whether it's a KO1 or he wins unanimous decision, split decision, if Tyson Fury wins 100%, there will be a 3rd fight. That's in the contract, okay? Wilder's side, the PBC side, they're making sure of that. If Wilder wins, not necessarily going to have a 3rd fight. We'll have to see. It depends on how he wins, all right? And we'll talk about that tomorrow night. We'll see how it plays out, and I'll give my thoughts then. So make sure you guys are here on my channel tomorrow night watching, because all those questions and stuff, we'll start to get answers to them tomorrow night live. and it's going to be fun to do that together. Whether you guys are buying the fight or not, get here on the channel and join me. It's going to be fun. All right, let's see. Man, a lot of you guys have jumped on here. I appreciate it, man. This is a very impromptu discussion. I just kind of felt compelled to get here. I saw some stuff on Twitter and, the Facebook chat rooms. I'm one of those guys who regularly checks that stuff pretty much daily. And I really think that I try to have a finger on the pulse of the fight world and fight atmosphere, what people are saying online, what they're saying in the chat rooms, on social media. I really pay attention to that stuff because it helps me kind of just do my job and know what people are talking about. And there's a lot of chatter about this fight. And I love that people are excited. I love that it's this positive environment. That's awesome. Even Tyson Fury yesterday, he was asked by a reporter about some racial stuff. It was kind of getting pulled in that direction. And contrary to what his opponent did last year, when some of that stuff came up, Tyson Fury did the right thing, and he completely nullified it and said, no, we're not talking about that. And he took the conversation in a different direction. So this time around, the promotion has felt way more positive, kind of an uplifting, positive thing for boxing, a shot in the arm for the sport, which is awesome. I'm all for it. I hope this thing does great. I really hope it does well. I hope it does 1 million+ pay-per-view buys here in the States and does a great record type of gate, there in Vegas at the MGM Grand. But I'm still allowed to be curious about drug testing and to want to see details. When did it start? Not that it's not me accusing anybody of anything. It's me just wanting details so I can talk about it and report about it and speculate about it. That's what we should be getting. I should be allowed to bring up the 2.5-year hiatus by Fury and how all that feeds into what we're getting tomorrow night. It's part of the story. I should be allowed to bring up Deontay Wilder's incredibly weak resume. And to be honest, Tyson Fury's incredibly weak resume and how all that comes into tomorrow night, because there's still a lot of questions about both of these guys, particularly on Deontay Wilder's side. Because as I mentioned before, he's never fought an elite level heavyweight until he fought Fury back in December of 2018. Now he's got some elite level experience under his belt. Is he going to show improvement? Is he going to look better? Was Fury really only at 70% of himself that first time around? Is he going to be 100% in this fight? How's that cut going to hold up? Like all of these sorts of questions, I should be allowed to ask. And all of my peers in Las Vegas, dude, get off your ass and go ask some of these questions. You're not going to get kicked out. I'm not the only one that's willing to ask tough stuff, but I feel like I'm part of a very small few that are willing to ask people hard questions to their face where they can't run away. It's one thing to ask over Twitter or talk about it on your podcast. It's another thing to get in someone's face. I don't mean in a confrontational way. I just mean person to person, whether it's over the phone or face to face, and just be like, hey man, what's up with XYZ? Just bring it up, right? And I just feel no one's doing that. So I don't know. It just prompted me to want to get on here and rant about it a little bit. I want to do this sort of thing more. That's why I built the studio in here. And anyway, tomorrow night, we're going to do the live fight party here on my channel. And then, of course, Monday, we'll have a loaded version of the Neutral Corner. We'll see if we could have a special guest on. They have to get it cleared through their executive management, but I've requested to have a special guest on Monday who's there in Vegas right now that would be able to give some inside information, some good scoop for you guys. They're getting it cleared through their channels to see if they can be on. But either way, it's going to be a great show Monday because we'll have a ton of stuff to talk about, right? Ray Valero with the super chat. Thank you so much, Ray. He says, hyped up for the fight, Mike. Keep the vids coming. You guys know I will. I want to make it clear. Although I have a YouTube channel and, it's pretty successful, it spawned my podcast, which has gone on to be pretty successful on multiple platforms like iTunes and stuff. I don't consider myself a YouTuber. Okay. I've been blogging. I started blogging about boxing almost 20 years ago in the early 2000s on old school sites like Eastside Boxing and stuff like that. And I've been writing about boxing for almost 20 years, right? And I started writing on the beat in Los Angeles back in like 2010. I told you guys I started working with the World Series of Boxing, reporting for the Los Angeles Matadors, covering those cards. And it was a slow process, and I wouldn't go to many fights. I was feeling my way out and learning it. But I started doing that long before I did a YouTube channel. I understand that I probably reach more people with YouTube because this tool, this app, reaches more people in a quicker way, in a more visceral, emotional way. Boom, it gets right to you, you know? But I consider myself a boxing writer, a boxing journalist, a boxing analyst, a boxing pundit, whatever you want to say, way more so than I consider myself a YouTuber. Not that there's anything wrong with being a YouTuber, but I do this and I have this channel so that the basic reason I did this was to be able to speak my mind freely. Because if I'm writing an article for The Ring or Boxing Monthly, or I'm doing a radio spot for whoever, whatever platform, I can't go off on a rant. I can't say, fuck this, fuck that, shit, damn, I can't go off. I can do that here on YouTube to a certain degree. The YouTube, it's getting harder and harder to, have free speech on this platform too. But this is where we can have honest dialogue. We can have honest debate. And I welcome people that have a different point of view than I have on here. That's who I want to hear from first. I don't just want to be in an echo chamber where we all have the same point of view. I want to hear from people that have an opposite point of view, because that helps us learn. It helps us grow. It helps us see things from a different perspective and challenge our own thoughts. You know what? Maybe this person has a better idea than I do. Maybe I need to adopt their opinion. Maybe my opinion isn't correct. So that's what I'm on here for. I'm not on here to be a YouTuber per se, and that's why I don't always post, you see some of these channels post 5-6 videos a day. I'm never going to be that guy. But now that I have a studio and I can come down here and rant a little bit more, I want to come and do more of these videos. So I will be doing more videos going forward, because I do enjoy having this dialogue with you guys. And now that we got phone lines on my show and everything else, we can really chop it up, man. So, all right, Friday rant's over. And you can tell I'm hyped up for this fight, right? I had to come here and just talk to you guys. I couldn't wait till tomorrow night's show. I had to get some stuff off my chest already. That tells you how excited I am for this fight. But let's see what happens at the weigh-in, and be back here tomorrow night, guys. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's actually going to be a lot better than the first one. The undercard is dog shit, but that's just more time for you guys to drink and get liquored up for the main event. All right, so look, I'm going to jump off here. I got in my road work already this morning. Now I got to go to the gym and get my lift session in. Tomorrow's boxing. I'm going to get my boxing in tomorrow. That's Saturdays. So, all right, guys, I love you guys. I appreciate all the support. Seriously, I do. And look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night and watching the fight together, all right? See you at the fights.